Hello, happy Monday, beautiful people. Happy Monday, Course to Profit. If you are here and now, just put hashtag live in the comments. If you're listening in the near and dear future, put hashtag replay. It's always good to be with you all here to talk a little bit about how to create online courses that are profitable, sustainable, and that allow us to build and grow our businesses. So, who's in the space? Who's here? Hashtag live so I can see that you're here. I'm excited. Before we get started with our training today, we'll do some wins, of course, because we always want to acknowledge some wins. And then also a few updates, right, to make sure that we're all on the same page and we're all connected. So, welcome to the space. I see that Miss Jai is here. Brennan, welcome. Kenneth, welcome to the space. Welcome, y'all. I'm excited to have y'all, and I know other folks will come on as we get into our training today. So, shouts out to the good people at Speaking for Profit University and the team. We had an amazing staff meeting this morning. One of the things that I highlighted was that we had an incredible group like you all creating online courses that are literally going to change the world. These courses, I can already tell by the fruitfulness that you're putting into your polls and your validation and the way that you're reaching out to your community, that they're going to be super impactful and they are going to literally change the world and the landscape and the way that we live. So if you were able to put out a poll this week, just do me a favor, put the word poll into the comments so I could see who was able to put that poll out, right? Because that was one of the first steps that we wanted to do this week to be able to validate our offers, right? And remember what we talked about last week. Validation is so important because it gives us an opportunity to build something that the audience that we have put together actually wants to consume, right? When we put ourselves into a space where we just create products or just create items that people are not going to necessarily put together, be able to like engage in, then we're kind of putting ourselves at a disservice, right? And I told many of you last week that we had an opportunity in S4P to do our whole beta program that we did for our members based off of a poll, right? Based off of validation. I literally put it out. I said, hey, y'all, I'm thinking about creating a course, and people ask for what we have today. So it's super powerful, and I'm happy that you did that. If you did not get a chance to do that this week, don't worry, right? You will have an opportunity to continue and to do it. And I suggest that you do it before you move into the next steps, right? So if you're watching this training and the replay and you realize that you did not watch week one, go back and watch week one, right? We are not in scarcity here at Speaking for Profit University. We are not in scarcity. When we're in scarcity, we feel like we have to skip things and skip steps in order to get to things. We're not moving in the movement of scarcity. We're moving in the movement of doing things the right way. Because if you build the foundation of your course the right way, in the future, you won't have to go back to it and do more labor, right? So that's what's important. So let's talk about some wins, right? Please put any wins that you want to acknowledge into the comments that you might have had throughout your course or personal wins, and I'll feel free to share them. But one win that I want to share with you all is that when I was looking at some of my analytics for my course, I realized that one of my master classes, the Crafting Your Signature Talk Master Class, I think I told you all this, has been probably like the most purchased evergreen asset that we have. And I actually hired a launch strategist who works here at Speaking for Profit. She's the person who works with many of our VIP members to help me make that into an evergreen funnel. Right. And what I'm excited about is we're working it on the back end. And what I'm hoping I can do is in the next week or so, show you all what that funnel looks like, because that's something that you're going to create at the end of your offer as well. So I'm excited. Her name is Heather. I'm excited to have Heather a part of the team. She helps all of our Wealthy Digital Society members, which are folks who are in a program with us for about a year, to be able to do launches of coaching programs. And the difference between a coaching program and a course, right? A coaching program really gives your audience an opportunity to have a deeper dive with you, and it's more intimate, right? A course is something that's usually a little bit more asynchronous. It might be very short. It's getting them to a common goal, where a coaching program is like like we're meeting one-on-one or in a group setting. So it's really powerful to see what our launch strategist Heather can do. And she's a Kajabi rock star. So I'm gonna actually talk to Heather and see if she can make it through to probably one of our Q&As before our time is done together. And if you all are ever interested, especially if you're current members, if you're interested in upgrading your membership to be a part of the Wealthy Digital Society, there will be an opportunity and we'll be sending some invitations out later on this quarter for you to be able to do that. So that's one win, right? That we have an evergreen asset that's built out that we're going to start actually marketing in the next few months to see if we could get some of those low ticket buys and offers. Are there any other wins that folks want to shout out that they were able to do this week? And I want y'all to know we are not we're not a group that you got to have like these huge wins. Even if it's personal, even if it's about your sustainability, we want to know because we're building community with one another. Yes, Miss Jai, my win this weekend. I finished my ebook and I'm very excited for how it has turned out. Yay, that's what's up. So as you all know, right, you had a few things to do last week. One of the things was to validate the actual course topic. The other thing, right, was to go on to PLR Me, which I'm so happy so many of you are able to do that, or to look at your own assets and try to create a lead magnet. Right. And it looks like Ms. Jai was able to get finished with that ebook. So congratulations on that, Ms. Jai. That's a really big deal to be able to get that done and to be ready to move to the next step. Anybody else want to shout out a win before we get into updates and then get into our training for today? So I'll go through a few of the updates and see if some more wins come through. So for updates for this week, one thing that I wanted to do for you all is I realized that, this is the first time we've done Course to Profit. We will do it again. But there's been some clunkiness of it, right? Like in a way, you all are a beta group as well. So we've had some challenges with you all being able to get in and out of the course, in and out of the community. So we've created some shortcuts and I want to share those shortcuts with you all so that you all have an opportunity to see how they show up in the platform. So if you go on to Speaking for Profit University's Course to Profit space, which I'm in right here. Okay, and let me make sure that you can actually see my screen. Okay, great, you can. If you're in this space, I have put on our page as a featured section. Let me go over here, activity feed, a shortcut. If you see under featured. So if you go on to our main dashboard activity feed under Course to Profit, you'll see a shortcut. And this is a shortcut to our actual library where we have all of our replays and all of our information. So you would just click here, click that link, and it's going to take you over to the course. So let me go on and stop sharing and share the course with you. So that's the short link for that, right? Like, so let's say you're in there, you're asking a question and you want to get over to the course, that's the quickest way to get to it. Now, if you're in the course on the other side of things, which you might be, right? You might be in the course and you're trying to learn some things and you're trying to get back to the replay. That link that I just clicked will take you here, right? And this is our online course. This is where all of the replays and even pre-recorded material, and I'll talk to you a little bit about that, is going to be landed. If you want to get back to the community, you would just simply click this link up here, and that'll take you back to the community where you can ask questions, right? So we created some of these shortcuts to make it a little bit easier for you. Of course, we have the course introduction, which everyone should have went through by now. If you haven't, please go back here. We did our training last week on how to make thousands in sales while you're in your sleep with content you already have, right? So you all have created your ebooks, you're moving into your validation. That's all here. Now, I know there were some questions about when it comes to the particular like ebooks and PLR Me, where the resources are. So we've added these links in here, and these are actually the affiliate links. So if you want to use them, any links or any templates will be added to the actual module afterwards, right? So in this training, we're going to have a workbook that I'm going through. That's going to be added in 24 hours. And from last week, here is the course worksheet. Here is the resources that we had, right? So it will always be in the description section of the video so that you know that and you can always rely on that. The other thing is that every week we're going to do our Q&As, and our Q&As are going to be in this section of the course, and we'll have them dated so you know which date the Q&A is as well, right? So I hope that this makes the process a little bit easier for you all. and really makes it a little bit more streamlined. If you have any questions about that, feel free to put it in the group. But this is the way that we're going to roll as we move forward, so you all have the most access. I see some other wins coming in. I'll share those wins with y'all. All right. We got Eve that says, I had a bit of a really powerful realization. I've been making some huge strides that have built my thought process to build expansive thinking, not lack. Also making connections. That is powerful, right? I just did a podcast episode on Boy Meets Wellness, which is my weekly podcast, where I was talking about mindset shifts are so much powerful sometimes than even action. Like moving into action without having a mindset shift can sometimes be self-sabotaging. So I'm so happy that that's happening for you. The Trans Capitalist says, won the Trans Life Award for Entrepreneurship this weekend. Yes, congratulations, family. That's a big deal. Excited to build an online course for more people to join the Trans Capitalist with your help. Yes, that's cool. Congratulations, family. That's a big deal. I'm so happy that people are giving you your roses while you're here, right? And cherishing the amazing work that you're doing. If folks have not gone to follow Kenneth, please do. Please go and follow his work, The Trans Capitalist. He's doing some really cool stuff. So I want to get into one more update, and then I want to get into the training, because the training this week is juicy. And I want you to know that the training this week is really where people normally drop off when it comes to online courses, because the next step is really going to take your commitment. Right? It's going to take you committing to your audience, you committing to what you validated, and committing to being okay with making mistakes. Right? So I ask that you get a little bit more open in your energy as we move into the training. So a few other updates, right? Now you have your shortcuts. You know how to get into the course, how to get back into the community. And now I want to update you a little bit on the calendar. Right? We talked about this in the orientation, but I want to let you know now. Next Monday, we're going to still have a live training, so you can still come and rock out with me, even though it's Labor Day, and I know some of you might be taking some time off. I will still be here at 12 o'clock, 3 p.m. EST, 12 p.m. PST doing this training. So I'll still be here in the space for you all. Things that will be different next week is I'm going to be doing some traveling. Right? So that means that our Q&A that normally takes place on Wednesday will actually take place on Tuesday at noon or 3 p.m. EST, right? So that's the change. If you go into our Course to Profit Mighty Networks, you'll see this under the event channel. The other thing is that a few of you said, Evolve Tuesdays just don't work for me. I can't make it. So I wanted to make sure that we had a makeup session. So we're going to do a makeup Q&A on that Friday of next week. And that's going to be just 30 minutes. Friday morning, right? So go into the course area and make sure that you have RSVP'd for these sessions for next week. If I see that no one RSVPs for our bonus session on Friday, it will be canceled because it's a bonus, right? So I want to know that people are going to show up and that they're going to use the space. I don't want to waste your time, and I don't want to waste mine, right? So that's the difference. But for next week, we'll still have our session on Monday, but the Q&A will be on Tuesday and on Friday, right? So go into the event section so you can see that. The other thing is the following week, which is that Monday, which is September 12th, we're not going to have a live training. Instead, what I'm going to do is by September 6th, which is next week, I'm going to put an additional module into your online course area that's going to be all about how to build out your email sequence, which is going to be so important to make sure that your course is evergreen, right? And remember, we talked about evergreen. Evergreen makes the asset available and gives you the ability to sell it to millions without pushing a button, right? Now, the 12th does not mean it's a day off for y'all. The 12th is actually catch up, right? We won't be here live, but you can get that module done, which is the extra module. And if you're coming into Course to Profit a little bit later, you can get caught up with some time. We'll still have our Q&A that week on that Wednesday, and we'll get back into flow where we'll be meeting on our Mondays and our Wednesdays, right? But on the 12th, we won't have a live training. It will be pre-recorded. So I wanted to give you all these updates because I'm always trying to be transparent, right? And you'll have that opportunity where there'll be a timeline for new questions for Friday. Yes, on the timeline, we'll put up a post that'll ask you, what are your questions? And you can add those questions there. Great question, Eve. And I'll go on and add that here. That's a great question. We'll still have the timeline. We'll still have the space for it. And we'll still have time for me to collect those questions before so that we make sure that we get to it. I just want to give you all time to get into some of the content that we're going to discuss today and make sure that you have those questions available for Friday. So thank you for being here. Thank you for moving and grooving with me through some of those updates, right? The key ones are the shortcuts that we've created in the course and then the shift to our schedule. Anytime we shift something in our schedule, you can find that in the events tab. But because we're live today, I wanted to make sure to give that to you. So let's get into our training for today, right? And be sure if you have questions during this time, put them into the comments. I might stop and answer some of them. The majority of them, I'll gather them and make sure that we go through them at our Q&A session on Wednesday. So today's training is all about creating offers, right? And what I want you to think about when you're thinking about an offer is that an offer is an opportunity for people to know how you can work with them and a problem that you're going to help them solve, right? It's a big problem. And usually that problem turns into a promise, right? You all came into this course because I promised that I was going to show you how to build a profitable course and how to sell it in 6 weeks, right? And you're doing this for free, right? We're doing this for free out of a labor of love, but then you had the opportunity to sign up for Kajabi, right? And that was a great offer too. You were like, oh, snap, I can start my online course for $99 with Evolve for free, right? And that was the offer. The sales page, the emails that you got, the communication that you got from me, that's all a part of the offer and the delivery of it. And the way that we frame our offer is really based off of research and knowing who our ideal client is, right? So the access to this worksheet I'm about to give you, we normally only give this to our higher end clients. I've kind of cut it down a little bit. To be honest with you, this I think this worksheet is somewhat 20 something pages, but we've cut it in half for this group to make it a little bit more accessible. And it's going to give you a walkthrough, an activity that's going to take you a couple of hours to do this week. I'm being transparent with you. If you don't put this in, if you don't put this labor of love into this part of the course, it's not going to work. There might be other weeks, there might be other modules that you can kind of half-ass it, right? To be frank with you, but this is not the week to do that. This is the week that you have to commit, and you have to commit to your topic and to your audience. So if I'm in a room full of folks who are ready to commit, put the word commit into the comments as I bring up this worksheet. Just put the word commit in there because I need to know that you all are serious about moving forward in this. If you don't do this, I'm telling you right now, it is not going to work. So put the word commit into the comments, and I'm going to bring up our worksheet for today. All right. I see some commitments coming through, y'all. I appreciate y'all. I see them coming through. I see them coming through. I see them coming through. I see them coming through, right? Because we got to take these things serious, right? $99 is still money. I don't care what we say. This is our money, and this is our time, and this is our energy, right? We have to do that. Okay, so let me share the worksheet with you. So I'm going to go through this, and the way I'm going to go through this is really just giving you a walkthrough so that when you do it on your own, you have a companion, right? I am your coach for this time when you're going through this, right? And I want you to have the ability to really be able to think about your avatar, right? As someone that you've already met before. So one of the first steps that you're going to do is you're going to go through our high-end avatar, which is your ideal client. You're going to go through that workbook part. And it's going to ask you some questions. It's going to ask you some really detailed questions about how do you really get to know your client, right? How do you get to know them, and how do you get to investigate if your problem is going to be, if your solution is going to actually fix their problem, right? And what I want you to think about when it comes to your ideal avatar is that, especially for y'all who have already worked with clients, we really want to think about the people that we really enjoy working with, the people that we love working with, the people that if you could clone them and have 5, 6, 7 versions of them, you would, because those are the people that we want to bring into this. So no lie, no lie, y'all. When I first did this activity, when I was starting S for P, I used myself as my avatar. So that's another thing that you could do. Who is a version of yourself that's 3 to 5 years ago that you want to help with this problem and help them solve it? Right. So that's what I did. I literally used myself. Right. Because that was the easiest thing for me to be able to do. Why not use myself? Now, some of you are in another place where you've had clients already. Use your best client when you're doing this activity. Who's that client that you love working with? I went back and did this activity maybe about 3 months ago because now I've been in business long enough to say I have clients that I really enjoy working with, and I'm going to build an avatar based on them. For y'all who are really into games and gamers, think about this as your sim, right? If you've ever played The Sims, right? You're building the person, the ideal person that you would love to work with and be. So, a few tips to this. I want you to take your time with these exercises. The work you do here will pay dividends in every aspect of your business. So, for step one, right, what you're going to do is you're going to complete your avatar and submit your work for review and feedback in the Mighty Networks group. Make sure that you're following directions through this worksheet. Now, don't just submit it and then stop doing work. You're going to submit it and then you're going to continue. And the reason that you're going to submit your avatar and let us go through it is we're going to be able to give you some feedback to maybe dig a little bit deeper. So when you're submitting that, you could just go on and share this link to us in the group and we'll give you some of our opinions. Right now, it's not shareable because I'll give it to you in the replay, but you would just simply share the link to your actual document. When you get this document, you're going to have view function. So you're just going to go over here and make a copy of it so you can have your own, and you would share that copy in the group. So we have a bunch of questions that we ask you about your ideal avatar, right? Right? Think about this seriously. Who do I see as my ideal client? The biggest results that you can help them with, the best client that you ever had. Describe your client's biggest external goals. Like maybe you notice that all of the folks you work with want to be financially free. That's one thing that I noticed about S for P. Everybody in our business and in our university mostly wants financial freedom, right? If you start to notice some of the external things that they want, how can that be measurable? Describe your client's biggest internal goal in one sentence, right? Internal goals are more like happiness, security, spending time with family, right? Like so many of us in S for P are connected to our families and want to spend more time with them. That's something that I noticed. Number 6, what does your client want to believe about themselves? Right? What is something that they don't believe? One of the things that folks always come into S for P not believing is that they can make as much money as we describe in a lot of our testimonials. That's literally the work that we have to do with many of our clients. It's not about teaching them how to speak better. It's not about teaching them how to deliver. It's that they actually believe that they're worth that 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and now recently $100,000. It's that they believe it, right? So what are the mindset shifts that you need to have with your clients? Number 7, what's the biggest problem your client has, right? Be really specific with that. Is it financial? Is it emotional? Is it psychological? Right? And when you all are thinking about this for organizations, I want you to think about it in the sense of what's the biggest problem that they know they have, right? Because oftentimes what we are as consultants and coaches and course creators is we're the ones that are going to give them the medicine, right? The medicine that's going to impact them and change them because they don't really know the problem that they have. So this is what do they think? What do they think is that problem? Because you might think it's something different. They might tell you, oh, we just have a problem with staff engagement. But the truth is that they have a psychological problem because it's a very racist institution. They're not ready to know that, but you're going to give them the training and the information that's going to allow them to know that in a way that's going to allow them to create change. Number 8, what frustrates you about your client the most, right? What's frustrating, right? What keeps them up at night? What makes them say, I don't want to do this anymore? What haunts them, right? Number 9, what does your client believe will happen if they don't succeed? If they don't get this done, what are some of the fears, right? I know for many folks from S4P, when they first start working with us, they have one stream of income. And I always tell people one stream of income is too close to zero streams of income. So a lot of people's fears are around lack of not having enough, being homeless, not being able to take care of themselves, right? And then number 10, what will they lose or miss out on by staying or maintaining the status quo? If they just stay in that same step, what will they miss out on, right? When I think about organizations that I've worked with in the past, if they don't really be able to create a cultural place of inclusivity, they're going to miss out on having a diverse staff force, which means that they're going to miss out on money in the long run, right? So you're going to go through, answer these 10 questions in as much detail as possible. And what I would suggest is you give yourself time. I like to reward myself. So maybe you sit down and you do the first 5 and you take a break and you go listen to some music that you love and you go connect with your loved one. And then you come back and you finish up the last 5, right? But take your time with this. You really want to know who your core avatar is so that you're able to support them and support their growth, right? I see a question came in. I'm going to answer that really quick. Chris said, where do we get the worksheets from the last training? Chris, if you go back to the beginning of this, I did an update on that. You're going to simply go into the online course area, and under each training, the worksheets will be there. They're highlighted and they're hyperlinked, and you'll be able to get it there. So get into your avatar. That's the first thing that you're going to do this week, and get into dreaming about them. If you haven't had clients yet, dream about the folks that you want to, or use yourself as that avatar. So once we get through, right, that first part, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to get into our core promise, right? Because I told you, clients, your avatar, right? Let's name our avatar for today. Our avatar for today name is Tyrone. Tyrone is your avatar, right? Tyrone knows that they have a problem. But the only reason that Tyrone is going to trust you with their problem is if you have a promise that is going to wow them. And don't think that you have to come up with a promise that puts you in the back burner or that creates scarcity in your life, right? I sometimes see a lot of offers that people create that are very much like guaranteed. It's guaranteed. If it's not guaranteed, then you get your money back. You don't have to create that kind of offer, because all of us don't have money making type of courses. But the promise needs to be there. There needs to be a promise. And you can make a promise very deliverable to a person without guaranteeing. A promise is the way that you're going to commit to them. A promise is the way that you're going to show up, right? I promised you all that you all will have these live trainings, that we all will do a Q&A, that I'll give you the space to make mistakes. That's the promise, right? We don't have to tie that into things that we're not going to be able to do. So I want you to go through this section, right? And really read these details about what the core promise is. I'm kind of going through it quickly because I want to make sure we get through everything today. And this is not really the training, right? This is a walkthrough of the workbook. You're supposed to get through the workbook, right? And as you could see, when it says creating your core promise is set up, review your notes from the impactful angle exercise, right? Which you did last week. Then open up any notes from your avatar exercise, as well as what you've done with clients who or were a perfect for this new offer that you have been working on, right? So you're going to get all your notes together that you've been putting together the last couple of weeks before you go into this core promise. Everything that we do in Course to Profit will build on top of each other, right? These are like Lego blocks. You can't build without the foundation. So as you're doing this, you're going to step 1, with your chosen angle and your perfect client in mind, answer the brainstorming questions below, right? And you're going to study the example offered below and notice how each example weaves together. Then you're going to write a list of 10 core promises and get feedback from your team, your past clients, or your audience. You can also get feedback from us. Choose the promise that fits your offer and resonates with your ideal clients, right? So when we're talking about step 1 in the brainstorming questions, those questions are right here. And you can answer them right in the document. Or if you're more old school or more innovative and you would like to write things down in your notebook, you can take these and write them in your notebook. But just remember, we might want to come back and be able to give you some responses on your notes. So make sure that your notes are adaptable so that we can see them. You're going to answer all these brainstorming questions, right? When it comes to your core promise. This is really going to get you down to the nitty gritty so that you can write that list of 10, right? And then we have some examples here for you of core promises from other programs, right? Even Speaking for Profit Academy, secure your first 5 speaking engagements, learn the skills of moving from solo entrepreneur to CEO, right? Very simple. This is almost like your elevator pitch. What does your program do? What is the promise that you're committing to, right? So once you get to step 3 and you've got your list of 10, which it won't take you long, trust me, you'll have them, especially after you make it through this brainstorming session. Then you're going to go down to here and you're going to go to the core offer promise. What specific measurable results could you help a client achieve in 8 weeks to 90-day period? List out these results and then create one core promise around these results, right? So you're going to list them out. You've brainstormed, you've come up with some things. You're going to be like, okay, let me list them out. And then you're going to finalize your core offer promise. Now, I know that this might be difficult for you. Maybe you're one of those people that always have millions of options that you come up with and it's hard to make a decision. So that's where we come in as a group. Bring your core offer promises to our Q&A session this week, right? Bring them onto Mighty Networks and list them so that we can give you feedback on them and you can get your finalized core promise. This is so important, y'all, because once you have that, then we can start moving into marketing this thing because we know what you're going to be sharing with your audience. We know who your ideal client is. When you have this information, y'all, it makes it so much easier on the back end for you to be able to establish your sales page. Now you have all the information and the data. I can't wait for you all to see how this comes together, but I want you to know that there's a method to the madness, right? This is the information that we're literally going to use to build out our sales pages, right? So you'll have your finalized core offer. That's the next part. Now, once you make it through that, take a break. Remember, we talked about this. We don't want to just sit here with this document and frustrate ourselves. So take a break. You've put in a lot of labor. You've had the opportunity to now really get to see what your core promise is. You've gotten some feedback. Great. Next, you're going to go into the implementation path. And this is helpful because this gives you a roadmap of what this actual course is going to look like, right? Like, what is the delivery going to look like? Look back at the steps that your avatar has to take. Don't worry about the delivery, right? Because maybe you have something in your steps that's like, you know what, my avatar is going to need a training on budgeting, and I don't really have a budget training. Don't worry about that. Just list the steps because that's when we start to think about resources. Can we bring in another person to do that training? Do we need to just go on and download that from a free app and be able to give it to our clients? Do not worry about delivery yet. Just worry about the steps and be in integrity with it so that you know exactly what your clients need to ultimately live out that promise that you've given them, right? So you're going to do that. I see that we got a typo here, so we're going to fix that. Step 2, you're going to map the implementation path action steps. So review your avatar and your most successful client's journey on your own. Make a chronological list of all the action steps a client needs to get those results, right? And you're going to list that here. That's what's going in this block right here. So once you've got your list, right? And if you all want to know what our list likes, we have an S4P university roadmap, right? And that roadmap is a part of some of the homework that people do before they actually get on a call with me to talk about being in the university. And that breaks down the steps of what does it take to get to a paid speaking opportunity. That's going to be your roadmap, right? So next, you're going to sample any resources that you may have. We're going to make that step 3. We got a little typo going. Don't mess that up. Cool. And this is like a list of templates, exercises, resources that the clients will need to complete each step above, right? What are resources they're going to need? Are they going to need a workbook like you all, right? We created this workbook for you. Are they going to need maybe a playlist or some music or something, right? Maybe you want them to have pump up for that week because you're talking about a really heavy topic. Really get into the nitty gritty and don't hold yourself back by scarcity. Really think about what are the things you already have or that you can create to make sure that this process for your clients who invest their money to purchase your online course makes it easeful and gives them quick wins. And then next, you're going to outline the support and accountability. How will you provide support and accountability to your clients as they implement this material? Now, the reason I want you to think about this in particular, right? The reason that I want you all to really stick with what is the support and accountability is you're creating an online course. You're not creating a coaching program. The difference is implementation. Often what we see in online courses is that people don't implement. They just don't. They buy the course, they forget about it. But what we're going to teach you is some ninja tricks, some real pro tips that's going to help you. One thing that you can always have that parallels with your course is an email sequence, right? So if someone signs up for your course, and this is what I love about Kajabi, we can give them ability to get emails as they move through the course or emails to remind them on where they should be in the course, something to be able to help them, to guide them that's not you showing up every week, right? So if you know that in order for your person or your client to really achieve that core promise that you put into your program, they need to do a certain amount of action steps per week. You need to provide a space of accountability for them. For you all, that accountability is our Q&As, right? Showing up to those Q&As and giving that to you live, right? So think about yourself, think about your program, thinking about how they can be the most successful. What type of accountability and support do they need? And how do we layer that in? So now you've created the implementation path, right? That's this section of the workbook. And that gives you an opportunity to really see what I love about this section, y'all, is it gives me an opportunity to really see for myself, am I giving them enough time? Right? Like one thing I noticed about Course to Profit already is that the next time we do it, it'll probably be a little bit longer. I actually think that 8 weeks is more appropriate now that I'm looking at some of the information that we have to get through. Right? So you'll understand that too. You'll be like, oh, you know what? I thought this was going to be a 6-week or a 6-module course. And actually, this is more like 10. Or you'll be able to say, you know what? Now I'm moving from solving problem number 1 and now I'm meshing that with solving problem number 2 and 3. Let me scale back a little bit so I don't do too much. Right? Either way it goes, knowing your implementation path is really going to support you. So I'm going to stop for a minute, see if there's any questions, and then I'll keep going. All right. I don't see any questions that I want to ask right now, but I do see something from Eve. I like the fact that you talked about establishing the commitment statement of what each party commitments and expect from other, definitely incorporating that into it. Yes, I love that. I got that actually from someone else's program, Eve, to be honest with you. They had us do a commitment statement and we've been running with it ever since. So think about that too, y'all, as you're creating your delivery plan. Are there other courses or programs that you've been in and things that you want to take and make sure that you implement in your program to make sure that it creates space for people to have the most success? So next, we're going to do the offer outline. And I know you all are like, whoo, Evolve, this workbook is long. It is. It's intentionally long. It's intentionally a journal of this offer because what you're trying to do is you're trying to create something that's profitable that can make money in your sleep, which means that while you're here in the now and alive and have the abilities to create this, you've got to put the most into this offer workbook so you never have to look back and do it again, or you're looking back to do it and to just add in additional things as you grow and know your audience more, right? Because as you know your audience and your clients and your avatar actually becomes a real person, going back to this becomes a very fruitful experience. So when you're creating your, it says high ticket offer, I'm going to change that to online course offer. You need to have a clear idea of what the goal of your client is, right? So you're going to use these 3 steps to move them through their process, right? Really create the offer outline, right? And what's helpful about this is what, when you see people's course course website and they're like, week 1, we're going to do this. Week 2, we're going to do that. Or module 1, you're going to go through that. Module 2, you're taking them through that roadmap. This is how they create that. So I want you to really think this section is about you getting into the nitty gritty of what type of user experience do you want your clients to have? What kind of user experience, right? Like one thing that people always tell me about S for P, which I really appreciate, is that we are dependable and we're reliable. And the reason people say that is even when they flake on me and they don't make it to calls, or they flake on us and they say they're going to sign up and they don't, we're still there on the other side to help them and to ask them if they're ready. We're still following up. Our follow-up process to me is one of the most amazing things that we have in our business. Many of you right here said you wanted to be a part of Course to Profit, forgot to sign up, forgot to do the link. We sent you another email. We sent you another message. We took that extra step, right? So one of my key things that I always want to do is I want to be the king of follow-up, because I know that follow-up is where most sales live. Follow-up is the most important thing of your business, right? So what type of user experience do you want your clients to be saying about your program? So the first step is onboarding process, right? And onboarding is literally the way they're onboarded. Do they get a welcome email? Do they get welcome swag? How do they get to know? What emails do they get? Do you send out text messages, right? What happens right after they enroll? After they pay that checkout page and they give you their money, what happens immediately? Do they get an email? Do they get a contract? Do they get a video? What happens? What's the onboarding process, right? Think about that. So once you go through the onboarding is a separate week. Just think about y'all. Y'all had a whole week that was just for onboarding, right? Where I said, go through Kajabi, set up your Kajabi, get things ready. That's a whole week in itself. So you got to think, you got a 0 week in every course that you create, right? That's a little bit of onboarding for people to get used to it, to get used to the times of your meetings, to ask questions, to make sure that that email that was supposed to get sent out got sent out and they got access to their course, all the stuff, right? Onboarding. The next thing you're going to go to is the first week. And the reason we have the first week separated from core partnership is the first week in anyone's program after their onboarding/orientation is so important, because that's where the momentum starts. So as you all noticed, when we did our first week together, I gave you all an opportunity to go into your audience, to validate your offers, to really make this more real, get you into action, less theory. If I would have gave you all this workbook the first week, nah, half of y'all wouldn't even deep dived in it. But now you've committed. You went and you shared it with your audience. You've asked them what they're interested in. Now it's actually a living and breathing thing. So think to yourself, during that first week of your program, what kind of momentum can you get your audience into so that they stick around? Because if your first module of your course is something that is all theory and all in the brain and they're not getting into action, they're not actually committing. That's why one of the first things I ask for you all to do is to put your commitment statement. Commit to me. Commit to this process, because we know that implementation and people falling off is a real thing. So that's what the first week's going to be about. And as you can see, each week is broken into learn, resource, and action item. And the reason we have it broken into that is we want people to be moving into action. It doesn't help us if they don't have steps to do, and it doesn't help them to know that they're having progress in the program or in the course, right? So what do you want them to learn? What are the key things that you want them to learn? Put that there. What resources do they need? Do they need a workbook? Do they need a video? Do they need additional information? Do they need to sign up for something before? Whatever it is, make sure you have that in the resource. And then what are the action items? What do they need to do that week to make sure that they're able to move into the next week seamlessly? Right? So each week you're going to go through that. Excuse me. And feel free. Some of your programs right here, we have 4 weeks. Copy and paste. Make a 5th week, make a 6th week, all the way up to 10, all the way up to 12. And think about weeks. You could have weeks here, or you can change the weeks to the name module if you want to. I don't care how you do it. Change it tomato. Just make sure that it gets done and that it's action oriented. So once you have that, right, you now have pretty much the roadmap to your course. And remember, I told you, we're going to create the roadmap. We're going to create the outline. We're going to create all this before we actually go in and start creating information, and we're going to make sales. So we're not going to go in here and start saying, okay, well, week 1, I want them to learn this and I want them to have a workbook. So let me not listen to Evolve and let me move forward and just start creating a workbook because I know they're going to need it. Stop right now. Stop. Don't do that. Literally what you're doing is you're creating an outline. All that other stuff will happen once we get a few sales. We're going to pre-sell this baby and we're going to make some money from it before we put into too much labor. All right. So now you've got your outline. And the next thing is the most exciting part. Put your snaps together because now we get into the money. All right. We're getting into pricing and delivery plan, right? So what's your pricing? What's it going to be? What's it going to be? Is it going to be $99, $997? And if you don't remember what we talked about on pricing, go back to week 1, right? We talked a little bit about that. What's the difference in the course prices, right? I'll give you a little bit of a follow-up on that, right? Like, we don't want to charge for this course to profit. I don't want anyone to have a course that is less than $197. All of you have courses that are worth more than that, but as a starting point, that should be your cost. Nothing lower than that, right? Okay, so you're going to go into pricing. Maybe you want to have more inclusive pricing. You want to have some payment plans. Maybe your pricing is going to be $2,000 and instead you want to be able to get breaking into 2 payment plans. Whatever that is, write that here. And then you're going to create your delivery plan, right? In order to confidently promote and sell your offer, you want to have a plan for how you're going to create and deliver it. Choose how you're going to deliver your offer and outline your delivery plan, right? And this is where you can get into the nitty gritty now. You can say, okay, I want to make sure that my course is launched by September, whatever. And that means that I'm going to market it for at least 2 weeks. And these are the marketing channels that I'm going to use. I'm going to use Kajabi for delivery. I'm going to use StreamYard for my live trainings, whatever your delivery plan is going to be. And if you need help with this, that's what we're here for. That's what the Q&A is for. That's what our Mighty Network space is for, right? By the time you're done with this workbook, y'all will have your offer together. You'll know who your avatar is. You'll have your whole outline for your course. You'll have your delivery plan and you'll have your pricing. At that point, we are ready to start marketing this baby and putting together our sales pages. So for the second half of this training, which won't take that long, I'm going to show you how to do step 2. So step 1 of this week is getting through this massive workbook. It's 11 pages, getting through it, getting into the nitty gritty. And then on the Kajabi side, like I told you, every week I want to show you how to do something on Kajabi. What we're going to do is we're going to create our offer in Kajabi. This is not our sales page. This is simply us creating our offer, right? And the difference there, right? Let me head over to Kajabi, right? The difference between our offer and our sales, right? We have our sales right here. This is where our offers live. New offer, literally the word that we see, right? Literally telling us that it's the new offer. And let me make sure that y'all can see that. I think I'm not sharing that page. Give me one moment so I can make sure I'm sharing the Kajabi one. Cool. So this is the area, right? We go into the dashboard. Literally, when we click on sales, we click new offer. That's literally where we're putting our offer in, right? Now, when we want to sell our offer, that's when we got to get into our marketing and our website section. And we'll get into that in a couple of weeks, right? This week was all about that offer workbook, the workbook that you're going to get done, and creating the next step. The final step to this week is putting your offer and creating it in Kajabi, which I'm going to show you right now. Next week, we're going to move into your sales page and all of your marketing assets. So don't move forward, y'all. Don't move forward without us. Stay the pace. Get that stuff done because that's the foundation of growth. So look, once you get into Kajabi, right? You're on your dashboard, you go down to offers and you go to new offer. The new offer title, right, is going to literally be whatever the title of your course is. So let's just say test for now. And then you can select your product. Now, you all don't have a product yet because we haven't created it. So there shouldn't be anything here. We're not going to create a product yet. We're just going to create the offer. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to decide your payment type. Is it going to be a free course? Is it a subscription-based course? Is there multiple payments or one payment? Let's say it's one payment. And let's say you want to do 497. Great. And then you would simply create that. Once you create that, you're inside the offer. What I always do, because all this stuff is public, is I put it on draft because we're not ready to publish it yet. Make sure that you're saving, because you never want to be out of, set something up and it's not saved. And then you just want to go through all of these. We don't have a product to add yet, so we're not going to add a product. But maybe you have an image you want to put here, or maybe you want to reach out, right? In week 1, we talked about Fiverr and Canva. Those are the places you can create amazing graphics. Think about what graphic you want to put here. You don't have to put anything yet because it's not public, right? Then you want to decide for yourself, how are post-purchase, are they going to get any emails, right? And if they are, you can customize the email that they get post-purchase here. What I would suggest is you give them the default email. The default email just say that you got access to this offer, and I think that that's great. The reason I don't do the custom is it doesn't give you as much space to customize it as it does with our automation section. So I would suggest keeping this to the default email, and then you can go down to automations and add some automations in. The 2 automations that I add in all offers, right, is I always want to add a tag. So the tag can be test. And this is great because the tag allows us to email these people in the future under that tag, right? So we are definitely thinking of our future self when we create this. We save it. And as you can see, it says offer is purchased, and then they get added to the test tag. The next thing you can do is you can create an email that says, welcome to test program /course. Cool. They've got a welcome email. And then you can put in whatever information you want to. This is great for your onboarding. What information do they need? Do they need access to the course? Do they need access to a contract? Are you doing Mighty Networks? Whatever it may be. That's what you want to give them in this first email, and you can personalize it. You can add in hyperlinks. You can add in files that you want them to download. You can upload images. You can personalize it by their first name, all that type of stuff and all that jazz. I always add that in as well. And what I love about this, you can preview it right in a browser, or you can send yourself a test email to see how it works, right? And then you just simply save. So those are the 2 main automations that I do for every course. There might be other things that you want to do. And as we talk about launching your course, there also might be other strategies that we use. But for this week, this is primarily what I want you to go in and do. I want you to go through that offer workbook, get it done, and then go into Kajabi and simply create this offer for your course, right? Those are the 2 things that you're going to get done this week. Once this is done, next week we're going to move into marketing and sales, and it's going to be amazing. But this is going to give you really the foundation to know what your offer and what your course is, and the way that it's going to dominate the industry. This is going to be really exciting for y'all. When I get into stuff like this, y'all, what I normally do for myself, right, is I make sure that I get into my bag by putting on a good music. Put on some of that money-making music for yourself, so that when you're creating this, it has the energy of abundance behind it, and you feel so connected to it, right? I have some questions here. I'm going to answer those. This is the end of the training to let you know. We went through the workbook, right? And I'm going to put this all in Kajabi, right? You'll get the workbook today. You'll get that access today. I actually go on and put the workbook in our Course to Profit section, because the replay will take a little bit longer. So I'll add that in there. I'll add that in the chat that we have for you all right after this, so you have it. But move on, get started with that, and then we'll have Q&A on Wednesday, right? So all the questions that you have, if we don't get through some of them, we'll definitely get through some of them then, okay? So 2 things for us to do this week: workbook and actually add our offer. So we've got some great questions. Is it okay to have multiple avatars, or should it be specific to each course? I think it's okay to have multiple, but I really want us to build our course based off of one that we're really dedicated to and that we're speaking to. Speak to one, right? Because when you speak to one, it speaks to many. It speaks to many in the same form. So I want us to focus on one. I think it's great to have multiple avatars in general, but let's just try to narrow it down and focus on one for now. And what's great about having that backlog, Kenneth, is that if we have multiple and it's in the language and the messaging isn't working, we can always shift to another avatar and try that out, right? Because business is all about trial and error and trying it. The question, Eve, is there a better method of onboarding that feels more personal and welcoming than others? I think that's a great question for your audience, right? One thing that we do at S4P University is that we send out surveys often. We're actually going to send out for all my members that are here. We're actually going to send out one very soon. We try to send them out quarterly so we can see how we're doing and how we can do better. Some of the things that we've added in is because of feedback that we've gotten. So I say that you do whatever feels welcoming for you and you do that for your audience, and then you find a mechanism, whether that's a survey, whether you ask at coaching calls if you decide to do coaching on top of your course, whatever it is, whether you send out a poll to ask your audience how do they like your onboarding process once it's created, because nothing's better. What it's really about is doing what's ideal for that audience. What might feel better to me might not feel better for your ideal avatar, right? Great question though. Another great question. Does Kajabi take a percentage of the sales you make? No, they do not, which is why I love them. They don't take a percentage, but what might happen is that Stripe will take a processing fee, right? So there is processing fees that come along with it. And I think Kajabi might have one depending on what program you signed up for. Don't quote me on that, but it's more processing fee. They're not taking your sales. It's more of a transaction of you getting money that comes from Stripe and all of that. But there's no like, oh, you're signed up with Kajabi, so we get 10, 15, 20% of your sales. It's none of that. And I don't get any of your sales as well. So don't worry about that. All your sales go to you. I think what you're saying now helps give me more clarity. Thanks. I think some of it in first week might have helped us out how fast to let Kajabi herd us to do something when we wait. I'm not sure what you mean by that, Eve, but we can kind of talk that through. Can we reach out to people on our social media pages, same space you dilated offer, to get some feedback needed for the workbook? Yeah, I think that's great. Make them a part of the process. So what I want y'all to know is that I've kind of given y'all a cheat code. I'll be honest with y'all, because I love to lift the lid. By you validating your offer, you're already starting to market your course because people know that you're in the background creating it. So saying, hey, folks, thank you so much for answering my poll. Now I'm getting into the nitty gritty and I want to know more about what will be the greatest promise that I can give you by the end of this course, or how can I support you with this, or whatever it may be. Bring them in, because when people see you building the machine and then you invite them to be a part of it, they get so excited. So yes, please, Crystalline, please share with them. I think that's a great idea. Miss Jai, since I have a website through Squarespace, is there a way to convert it all over to Kajabi? Totally is, Miss Jai. You don't have to do that, but you can, right? Kajabi has a whole website section, right? And what I can do for you, let me write this in my notes. If you add this question to actually do this for me, Miss Jai, add this question to Course to Profit. And this is a question that we could answer and I could show you a little bit more detail at our Q&A on Wednesday. But yes, there's a whole website section where you can have your website on there, but you don't have to do that. If you want to do that because you want to save some money, cool. You don't want to pay Squarespace, you want to pay one person, it's totally a way to do it. And I can show you a little bit more about that at our Q&A. Still working on completing validate my offer. Should I have maybe 3 hooks or just one in the post? Chris, I would suggest if you have multiple things that you're trying to get feedback on, have a poll, right? And that means that you're going to create a post with a poll. It's going to be, hey, I'm thinking about creating this course on these things. Which one do you like the most? And they select it from the poll, and whichever gets the most poll response is what we move forward with. If there's a topic that you are like, I know this is validated, this is something people really like, just validate that one topic. So it really depends on where you're at, and I hope that that helps you. So I sell my workbook through my website. Should I move it to Kajabi? That's a great question, Kenneth. I think it depends on you, right, in your business and how you want to set up your workflows. What I love about having all of my digital products on one spot is when I'm doing different promotions, right? So let's say that for Black Friday or for one of the holidays coming up, you're doing a promotion and people can get your course, but they can get that workbook for free. You can create a downsell or upsell on Kajabi, which gives them access to both of those offers. So I like having all my products on one space. So I would suggest it for you. However, I know like you might have put a lot of labor of love into that, and maybe it's not for right now. Maybe it's in the near and dear future. But to make it more easeful for you and your team, I think having your digital products in one space just it makes it a lot more easeful for different promotions and things that you're doing. All right, great folks. So we're at time, right? And I don't want to overextend on myself or on you all. So I'm gonna head out now. Two things for this week, right? Two things for this week. We're gonna get that workbook done. I'm gonna give it to you right now. So go over to the chat. I'm gonna actually grab that link for you, give it to you so you have access to it. You'll have the replay of this training in 24 hours. It'll be up in Kajabi. And I always will send you an email out to say, hey, the training is up. You got it. It's all good. If we have questions, comments, and concerns that we want to move forward with, put them into Course to Profit. There'll be definitely a link that says, hey, add your questions here, but feel free to add it. Just add it on the dashboard. I don't mind you add it there. I can always go there and look it up. Add your questions, and then I can answer those for you at the Q&A that we have on Wednesday. We're going live on Wednesday via Zoom, right? At noon there, have your questions ready, but also put them in before, because the questions that are put into Course to Profit's Mighty Networks before we go live on Wednesday are the ones that I am going to go to first and are going to be the priority. If you come into the space with just questions, you're going to have to wait to the folks who intentionally put the questions up before. So thank you all for being here. I know this is going to be a really busy week for you, so I send you a lot of pace. Remember to pace yourself, sustain yourself, and love on yourself. Pace yourself, sustain yourself, and love on yourself through this process. You're building something that is going to be beautiful, and you have to give it that labor of love. So I hope y'all have a good week. Again, Evolve Benton here, the Speaking for Profit coach, and I will see you all on Wednesday. Peace.